Привет всем! Welcome to this review. We are looking at the Rediron models 3D printed resin kit of the Bulldozer T-130 RXB3. So this is actually a vehicle that was used in Chernobyl during the liquidation cleanup operations. Quick point of note, especially to guys that are overseas, not in Russia, check out the Rediron Models website. I'm putting up now for you. You'll see that they have got English language there, and they've got the opportunity to buy this kit via Corona Pay. I do not know, but I'm guessing that they are able to ship this kit overseas if you're interested in it. So let's open this up and see what we've got inside. Starting off with, this is the instruction manual, which is quite surprising. It's just one sheet, it's 9 steps, so it's not going to take long to review this. There is a note here that resin parts can deformed. Basically, yeah, that's true. The large castings can deform. 3D printing, I don't think it's that much of an issue, but basically, as you can see, here you're building up the chassis components of the Bulldozer in step 1. Step 2, the running gear all goes on. You can see these are large castings. Step 3, you've got to add some detail using some wire. We'll see if that's supplied. By step 4, basically everything's coming together. Step 5 is the construction of the upper armored housing, the crew area, which obviously is, it's not armored against weaponry, it's armored against radiation. And then more details. Final construction of the actual bulldozer is on step 7, and then finally the blade goes on by step 8. On here, this is obviously the template for the glazing. So let's have a look and see what's inside here. Well, first thing I'd say is that the wire for detailing the hydraulics is included within this bag here, as are some small resin transparent parts for the light. So we've got a tube there, a wire, and also a piece of acetate sheet which will form the glazing. So there's no need to open that up, it's just to mention that they've included everything within the box. Let's open up these parts. By the way, I ordered this about, I think it was 2 weeks ago from Moscow. It took 2 weeks via Russian post to come here from Moscow. And one very big bag, obviously lots of packing peanuts. I ordered the extra packaging hard box, which is what I would recommend that you do. Let's get these parts out the bag and I'll show them to you in detail. Okay, I've debagged the parts. One thing I should sort of point out that there's no parts numbering as such, and you're going to need to work out, you need to visually identify the pieces, but really that is not too difficult. And actually I am telling a lie, because this part here, this part of the track has got a number on it. So some of these are numbered actually. I'm going to show you like highlight details in macro, just to show you how amazing this 3D printing is. There were people saying that this 3D printing is going to replace styrene kits and everything. I very much doubt that. What I do think though is that it's replacing the traditional resin type kits, your garage type kits, into 3D printed kits. So you've got masses of detail, but you've got lesser parts. And of course the construction's a little bit different as well. But I'm just going to sort of show you just generically. The main work is going to be removing the formers, these supports from the 3D printing process. And even that isn't going to be too difficult. The beauty of this 3D printing is that you're able to print things hollow. So obviously this cab area is entirely hollow with tree supports attached inside it with all that detail. Some of these parts, honestly, off the bat look absolutely amazing in their complexity. I'm going to show you them in macro as well, so you can appreciate the detail. And in case you're wondering, yes, we will be building this kit. I think relatively soon. I'll be building it in the first half of this year. That's what I can say to you as a bit of a special project. So what I'm particularly impressed with is this, which is the running gear, all in one unit. So you're not lacking the detail there. You're going to have to be careful with removal. But look at the sprocket tooth details, super sharp. The idler wheel here is actually hollowed out in areas. And another massive plus is that the tracks are in 4 components with a sag incorporated within the run. So you know, check to make sure you've got it the right way around, check sure that the sag, but this is going to be really straightforward. So this is what I would expect more to see more of in 3D. There is 3D printed workable track sets, but I think this is really what we should be looking at, is 3D printed entire track runs, which you know, is a massive benefit in terms of time saving, as long as you get the right detail. And also I'm sort of thinking as well, in terms of these sort of kits, I haven't bought a 3D printer, and I've mentioned this before, and the main reason is it's kits like these that are coming out, which obviously I haven't got the skills to design, and I'd much rather spend my money buying a kit that's 3D printed rather than having a 3D printer at the moment. Things might change, of course. So anyways, let's zoom you in and show you some of the details now that have sort of captivated me, and I think should be highlighted on this kit. I've gone at the macro now, so I can sort of show you the details. And one thing that's clear is that there is another massive advantage of this 3D printing is the lack of any defects in the molding process, because they're not molded, they're built up and printed. So you haven't got these problems with air bubbles, with flash, with the molds getting old and tired, and you get badly molded parts. Of note as well, everything seems to be true and straight. There doesn't seem to be any warping whatsoever, and these parts are fully cured as well. From what I can see, there's no softness to them. They're you know, the brittle resin that you would expect. Just show you this cab again in macro again, just showing you the sort of detail around the armoured sills. You can see well detail, which is absolutely awesome. It is in scale. These lifting hooks here that are hollowed out, printed out as well. Part of the drivetrain here with amazing detail on that gearbox. All the bolt detail perfectly captured. All these casings, the transmission casings, etc. Of course, the only way to assemble this kit is using super glue or using 2-part epoxy. It is not that fun to build resin kits. In my opinion, I much prefer styrene, but a kit like this, who else is going to make it? You're not going to see, well, mainstream manufacturers are not going to make every single kit, and certainly a Chernobyl Bulldozer is a bit of a one-off. So we'll see more and more esoteric subjects coming out, hopefully. Just show you one of these track runs again with all the bolt detail. All of this is just superbly detailed. I'll have to think a little bit about the painting process as well, how I'm going to go about that. Here's one of these real superstar parts, showing you just what can be achieved using 3D printing with this these pumps and hydraulics, drives, etc. Just amazingly well detailed, all in 3D, hollowed out where it should be, undercut detail. Undercut detail was the thing that we could always expect in resin. Resin was a big a game changer for modeling back in the day when you had the undercut detail, and 3D printing goes beyond that by offering these large one-piece details, which is just amazing to see. This is just another example. This is a little bit more simplistic, but just showing the detail that's been captured. This one looks like it's the air MBC filter and air cleaner. I'm just going to show you the bottom of the cab now. You can see that the driver's foot pedals have been moulded on. The floor plate has got some texture. Of course, constructing this as well, we'll see how everything keys up and how it joins when we build this later on in the year. Another super detailed part. What is, of course, missing is some of the lines and the hydraulics, but that's been pointed out in the instructions, and there's not really too many of them. Again, I'll just place it on the angle so again you can see the undercutting of all the detail. So I've been building quite a few kits, as you've seen on my channel, incorporating 3D printed details, but this will be my first fully 3D printed kit, not my first resin kit. I expect it not to be so different from a full resin, a resin kit that's been molded in the traditional way. Obviously got a lot less parts to deal with, which should make for a relatively quick build. The only factor I think is just being careful, taking your time to remove these the support structures from the 3D printing process. Here is obviously an important part. Again, it looks to me as if it's true. And this is, of course, the under chassis component. But we'll check all that out. Be careful when you're removing it. Again, this with very small connection points between that drive there, that final drive, and these two channels, so I have to be careful when removing that so I don't snap them. Want it to remain true, and we'll test the structure and the fit. There does seem to be some key joints there for the construction process, so that should, make things a little bit more straightforward. Here is the dozer blade. Super sharp detail, as I keep on sort of repeating myself. And yeah, I was incorrect. If you look closely, you will see that the actual parts are numbered. So the very first thing I would do is check off all the parts to make sure I'm not missing anything. And it appears that I am not. Excellent part here. This is part of the, well, I suppose you could call it the hood. And you see the HAZMAT logo that's been rendered on. Beautiful. I instantly pulled the trigger upon seeing the release of this kit. Rediron Models, do check out their website if you're interested in particular space capsules and cosmos related things. Those guys have made a lot of kits of them, and they did have quite a few tractors and vehicles that I believe they sold the molds to Balaton models, but now they're producing again tractors and 3D printed. So If you're interested, drop them an email, see if they can send to you wherever you're located, and hope this review is useful to you. There's a few more, smaller details or whatever, but we're sort of, just covering the same ground now, basically. I'm just showing you the detailed parts, just what you would expect to get from a 3D printed kit. As I said, really looking forward to building this one up, and we'll see it shortly. So this is the Bear. I hope you enjoy, and see you soon.